imagined a world in which there are vicarious sleepers who sleep on behalf of everybody else. And they're the only ones that get to sleep, but they have to sleep pretty much all the time. And everyone else just work. Your fatigue and the future of sleep in America. In the center of the city, in a house with transparent walls, the 24 vicarious sleepers lie in deep, perpetual slumber. Your fatigue is the one who trims their hair, clips their toenails, plumps their pillows, and turns them according to schedule. They take their work so seriously, frowning and muttering in their striped pajamas under eiderdown. Your fatigue feels a terrible tenderness, as though they are infants, invalids, or ailing plants. On your fatigue's annual morning off, it goes rowing, wearing a straw hat that is almost adequate. It dips its oars in and pulls them out again, imagining that the boat is still and the sea moves, or perhaps the sky, or nothing moves, which would be the same as if everything moved. In this kind of mood, your fatigue is tempted to wake the sleepers, to set them free. Though who would have time to care for them, wandering through the world, pajamaed and frowsy-haired, their house weightless now, spinning above them in the vortex of their own wind. To release them or not, either choice seems a betrayal. So your fatigue adjusts its hat and places its arm in the oarlocks to row on in light that steeps through the sleeper's dreams like waves of glass. So you've heard of people who, this is kind of a transition poem, who sleep their way to the top. This is about that. He slept his way to the top, beginning with the bassinet and moving up through the crib, the roll-out time mat, the big boy bed, gaining altitudes through varieties of weathers and all manner of venues, trundles, bunks, beds without shocks, beds with coughing throttles, compulsively freezing engines and questionable brakes, mutes and lispers, beds that wouldn't shut up, the collapsible bed, ever on the verge of a swoon, even the dreaded karaoke bed. He soothed and appeased them all, approaching them easy from the left side, rarely the foot and never the head. The bed whisperer, we called him. And still he rose as meteors hissed around him, his nosebleeds staining the stratosphere's infinity thread-count spangled sheets. So what could we do but confer on him the constellation status to which he no doubt aspired all along? The sleeper, he was dubbed, yet though we duly charted his progress through the sky, we refrained from aiming in his direction even the most tentative, the most probationary, the most hypothetical of wishes. True, he not only diagnosed but saved his share of beds along the way, heroically removing lethal obstructions from the inner coils with only his pocket knife. He had also been known in his time to harass a hammock, commandeer a cot, cull a high mountain herd of free-ranging pallets with a pearl-handled revolver he kept tucked into his belt, hard though he claimed he'd found it to put a mattress down. So he was a solitary sleeper. Okay. A few things to know about reading. So there's just some prose poems. Well, it's one prose poem in sections. If a book hasn't shaken you up a little, after 3 chapters, you must lay it aside, since the very purpose of reading is to set all your previous clarities resonating in incompatible frequencies. 2, do not mistake reading for actual life, which suffers from lack of both compression and dynamic focus. Note the prolonged mundane stretches of your life, stretches no editor would stand for. The proliferation of characters and incidents that apparently do nothing to advance the plot. Also, as you may have noticed, the protagonist comes across as muddled, inept, though neither in the comedic nor in the ironically reflexive post-tragic sense. The main trouble with reality is that you aren't allowed to skim it. 3, do not mistake actual life for reading. Inside your brain, there is no homunculus waxing lyric on the events of your day. So you must quit feeding him truffles and shoo away his attendants with their ostrich feather fans. 4, As song preceded speech, so reading antedated writing. Our paleo-human ancestors perused the compositions of coastlines and interpreted the displacements of clouds. Even now, ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. In the third trimester, the outsized head moves back and forth in a readerly manner, spooky eyes open, the subject matter as yet unidentifiable. 5. Should you need to break free from a book, the route is generally diagonal. If this fails, you may have to slip into the helical flow to slingshot you from a vortex. But whatever your situation, be sure to remember this most basic of facts. Those who fight the text directly almost always go under. 6. You must ascertain the title of anything being read or even merely carried in a restaurant, airport, etc., despite the fact that in doing so you will violate public mores regarding invasion of personal space. Even at the shore, you must trespass under vacationers' umbrellas in order to rifle through their beach bags and dig out their paperbacks. This is as close as you could get to what you've always actually craved, the universal blending of minds. 7. The fact that you're relishing every nuance of a particular book doesn't exclude you from reading others as well at the same time and savoring them no less intensely, or from maintaining by your bedside a pile of books continually on the verge of collapse, or from loading the trunk of your car with several such piles, which is why your rear tires have to be replaced twice as frequently as the front. You don't consume only one kind of food per meal, so why should you be bound to just one book at a time? Anyone you might happen to kiss will taste on your breath an intricate commingling of textual flavors that is nothing less than ambrosia. 8. When you write, your insides become your outside, which becomes your reader's insides. Only if everyone died or disappeared, leaving all the books behind, could there be an outside without an inside. One of the names for this not happening is history. A certain restaurant chain rewards school children with pizza for finishing a pre-established number of books. This practice contaminates the act of reading by turning it into a consumer experience and should therefore be immediately outlawed unless adults can get in on it too. Your reading self is all yourselves, turning the pages of everything you've ever read in a spectral library. There's the you in a little plastic chair laboring through your first chapter book, and there's the you of 30 years ago practically inhaling the words of a poet the current you dismisses. And there's the you of a few hours ago opening a novel already digested in the 90s, but since then so thoroughly forgotten that rereading it now will turn out to be, no pun intended, an authentically novel experience. When this morning's you lifts her head to unkink her neck and unfocus her eyes, she glimpses all the other yous in all the other chairs. But when the youngest you does the same, she sees that she is utterly alone.
It's Marcus's phone.
In your sleep, you find the leaves are too fine to separate, or your fingers have suddenly thickened. The narrow whisk of slippages, the hint of a whisper, you think you've got it, but no, the corners won't come apart. For the entire book is the most delicate of fortresses, unreachable. Thus your dream body is simultaneously always and never between pages. Here's another poem about reading. Self-summary. Apparently I'm here to read everything in print at an ever-accelerating pace, though without any aptitude for synthesis or retention. Which is to say, I'm here to be largely elsewhere. I must have been displaced as an infant from my native planet where words don't lie inertly on their pages, but self-ignite. Think of my birth world now, flash fires springing up everywhere with no reader to extinguish them. From my left eye, I weep for my people, choking amidst the flames. From my right eye, for my lone talent, always begging to go home. I read an article about different things that librarians find in books. Really strange things just tucked between the pages. This is called Library Morgue. Here we lay out what comes to us in books. Razor blade, chicken bone, pinky ring with diamond chip, lucky strike, unfiltered. X-ray landscape, clouds, the mouth's interior, and countless more. like wonders of the deep, exposed for our inspection, the text a tide receding from our gaze, the shore.